and the whole like Demogorgon blind creature tends to look the same. It has for like the past like 10, 15 years, and you're like, okay, like I get it. This is what creatures look like now.
They did not spend $250 million a movie.
That's another positive I'm going to give to this movie. When you watch them back to back like this and you get to the second movie and the opening, it's sensory overload.
This movie, the only thing that made it different was there was more added dialogue with the beginning, which had the more crazy sound.
The things in this movie that freaked me out the most. I mean, we all know the Home Alone nail on the stairs, like, was done so much better here, and we're like, whoa, like it was really, really good.
I wasn't even asking so much for just A Quiet Place. I was just asking for, like, do you think he'll be one of the... Do you think he's going to end up going down the road of, like, Jordan Peele?
Okay, she's afraid, hiding it up. You don't realize she's giving birth unless you're watching the movie and understand she's pregnant and that's what's going on. And having children myself and knowing what birth is like.
What's it like, Lee?
Oh, you know what birth is like. Really?
Tell us, Lee. You had
Explain.
children yourself. He's tired.
Yeah.
He's exhausted.
Yeah. Let's get into this. Whenever you guys are ready.
I'm ready.
We're ready.
Hello, all of you wonderful people out there in podcast land. Welcome to another episode of Black and White Reviews. My name is Will.
Hello, my name is Lee.
Wow.
That was just very quick. Very, very quick.
Well, nobody else jumped in, and you were like, "I'm ready. Well, who's
you're the one who's
this
running
one?
this,
This one's just looking off into space. The other one's taking a drink. So what am I gonna do? Okay, I guess I'll do it. Anyways, what are we talking about? You're Chuck.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi. So we're gonna do a rehash, a rehash, a re-review.
Riri.
A couple of years ago, Lee and I did A Quiet Places Part 1 and 2. So what? The movies apart were Quiet Place 1 2018, Quiet Place 2 2020, 2019?
Yeah, and
Somewhere
now they're
in
saying
there?
2025 is going to be 3.
Which
They
is
are doing a
interesting.
third.
Yeah. Which is interesting. Written and directed and starring John Krasinski. First one. Second one, not so much because he was dead. But anyways.
Well, he was in it for 2
But I mean, he was
minutes.
still like the writer, director, producer, all that
yes,
stuff. But
yes. But this is I'll maintain this for like fresh out of the gate directorial writing and producing debut. Krasinski knocked it out of the park, man. He did a really good job with these two movies. And that's probably like the biggest takeaway that I had when I watched these two movies back to back was just the way that he did everything and his aesthetic and the feel that he put into everything. It's palpable. He did a really good job. The pacing in both of these movies are fantastic. The storyline is fantastic. His acting ability was fantastic. I forget the little deaf girl's name, but she knocked it out of the park. Just her
Millicent
character.
Simmons.
What's her
She's
name?
actually deaf.
The actress.
Yes, I know.
The actress's name is Millicent Simmons.
Millicent Simmons. She
played Regan.
She was fantastic in both of these movies, and just like the way that everything culminates in the end with the whole hearing aid thing, I thought was just a brand new, perfect spin on everything. Very, very War of the Worlds, but not very War of the Worlds or Signs. Maybe more Signs than War of the Worlds.
I'd say Signs meets Walking Dead.
Yeah, well.
I mean, just in the whole like they're going around and then you don't know what type of people are out and about. I mean, there's that one scene where they go to the water.
Yeah.
And she's like getting taken, and then they go to the place that's like safe and everything in the second and also in the second movie.
I think the reason why I said War of the World is because the stupid way that the alien is defeated. Like in War of the Worlds, it was literally bird poop.
Signs was water.
Yeah, that too.
So I'd say more like Signs. War of the Worlds was War of the
Bird
Worlds
poop.
actually reminds me of
War of the Worlds was bird poop. They were defeated because birds were pooping on them. And it confused them and they broke down.
Yeah.
So there is that. This is I kind of think Quiet Place is just as ridiculous. Like it's a frequency that causes their heads to explode. Well, not explode,
their
but
heads
you
didn't
get
explode. They
No.
were just they were just like incapacitated. It's kind
Yeah.
of like it was almost like a kryptonite to them, where they were weakened to that
Kinda.
point because you know, and then you could do something to take them out.
I do
You know,
like
like
the
she did with the
face.
piece of the yeah,
Like the face, the way that it contorted and like bits and pieces of it would like come off and it was really
and it was
Predator?
listening here and there. It was like I mean,
Predator.
Predator, those mandible things, but I mean, very much like Stranger Things.
Yeah, the
You know,
Demigorgon.
with the blind Demogorgon.
I'm sorry, Chuck.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. It's like it's what's funny to me is if you watch anything sci-fi, every decade kind of has the sci-fi like here's what the creatures that we do in sci-fi movies looks like now.
Yeah.
And the whole like Demogorgon blind creature tends to look the same. You know, it has for like the past like 10, 15 years. And you're like, "Okay, like I get it. This is what creatures look like now." You know?
So it
Um
makes sense because the first season of Stranger Things came out in 2016. So
yep.
maybe John Krasinski got some inspiration from just seeing that.
Yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
definitely looks different, and with the whole focus on the hearing and everything, and I do appreciate the pieces, what would you call them? Almost like head skull panels, you know,
Yeah.
if you will,
Yeah.
moving back and forth and trying to like a cat's ears, you know,
Yeah.
trying to find the best
Yes.
position to hear things. Very well done, very well put together.
Yeah. So you and
Um,
I are going on about this, Chuck.
mhm.
I'm gonna go to you because this is your. Lee and I have done this before, and you
Yeah,
convinced us to do this all over again now in the new formats
Yes.
yeah.
that we do things, which I think is cool. I wouldn't be opposed to doing more of these, but
Well, I
you,
wanted to do it because I heard of this movie years and years
Mm.
ago, and I would say
You didn't go into it because you don't watch horror, but this is not
right.
horror as much as
I was
sci-fi
against
thriller.
I was against
yes,
horror. Like I've been off of horror since like 2015,
Yeah,
and I
same
just
here.
haven't had a. And when you see the cover of this, it looks very horror.
Yeah.
But everyone I've talked to is like, it's not horror, it's more thriller, and I'm like, okay, like I'll give it a try, not thinking that it was like Alien. I'm thinking it's more, whatever.
Yeah.
But when I
lab
watched the first
experiment.
something, yeah,
Yeah,
Bird Box type stuff, which I didn't even watch that because I heard
Mm.
that was just ridiculous.
Mm.
But I was like, you know what? I'll at least give it a try. So I watched the first one a week and a half ago.
mm.
So this is when we're recording it, is a week and a half ago. So when this comes out, maybe a month ago. And I watched it and I was like, I immediately fell in love. And here is the few reasons why. It's an hour and they're each an hour and a half long.
Yes,
They're not 3-hour films.
major selling point. Yeah,
2, they did not spend $250 million a movie. I think they spent less than 20 million per film because there's not a,
so
there's not a,
the budget for the first one in 2018 was $17 million, and in box office it took in 341 million.
Right.
yeah. So it
Perfect.
did a really good job. You know, it's an original. I've never for the second movie has a lot more, but the first movie, what really blew my mind is I'm watching with my wife and she's like, "Is there talking in this film?" Like, yeah, I think so. Maybe 5 minutes of dialogue. I mean, actual dialogue. The rest is silent.
In the first movie, none. I mean,
there's 5.
not even 5 minutes.
No,
Well,
no,
there's
there's dialogue when they're down in the basement after she had given birth and they're talking
talking
down there
and-
because the basement is soundproofed.
Right, that and when they're
Oh,
at the
yeah.
waterfall, there's a
Yeah,
few scenes
yeah.
that have. It's total of about 5 minutes. The rest of it is all ASL.
When you
And-
said basement, I thought you meant like the basement of the house, not their little bomb shelter looking.
Their bomb
place.
shelter,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thursday.
okay, fine, they're okay.
Yeah.
If you wanna call it
Um,
that. Sound shelter.
The fact that the whole thing was done with, I've heard stories of people watching this in the theater and how the theater was just
Silent.
dead
Yes,
silent.
Oh yeah.
I believe
I
it.
wish every theater was like that in every movie you watch. However,
I
I would
agree.
have loved to have gone back to 2018 and sat in the theater and experienced this in the theater, which is everyone just silent.
Should this
You know what?
ever get a re-release in theaters, I would go see it.
I'll say this. This is the type of movie that I would not want to watch with another person.
Really?
Why?
Because I feel like it takes away from what they're getting at here. Like the whole no. I'm saying
No, I think the reason why you wouldn't want to watch another person is because you would be tempted to talk to the other
Yeah.
person while you're watching it.
well, no. I just feel like so like Gravity. I always go back to Gravity because it's one of the first times I saw a movie, and I mean I saw it in IMAX 3D, and you really feel it when she's like running out of air and she's in
Yeah.
space and she's gonna float away. Like seeing that in IMAX 3D, I'm like, I can't watch it anywhere. Like trying to watch that on a 50-inch TV later on, it's like, come on,
No.
movie's not good.
That
But the movie
that's
was
one
only
of
good
those
because of
movies.
how I watched it.
Yeah, Gravity is one of those movies. If you didn't see it in IMAX, you missed it. You missed it.
Right.
Don't even bother.
And I feel like for this one, it's like this is one of those movies where you just need to be in isolation in order for you to really feel like everything's quiet, everybody's being quiet. So when something does happen, it gives you that jump scare. Because if anything is around to distract you, it ruins it. Now, when I first watched these movies, I think I watched them while I was working. Like I just had it on the desk next to me while I had it on this laptop, while I was on my work laptop. And I'm watching it, and as soon as the first one was done, I'm like, I'm gonna put the second one on now because I didn't realize it was only an hour and a half. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's great, and I
We did
immediately
them-
watched the second one in
we
one
did them
day.
both in one night.
Yeah,
Yeah. We did them
Right.
both
In
in
our,
one night.
in our
Yeah.
old format.
yeah,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the thing is, though, is what's her name? You mentioned her name, the deaf girl.
yeah. Millie.
She
Well,
stole the movies for me.
Mhm.
John Krasinski was fantastic in the first movie, but she stole well, Emily Blunt was the mom, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Emily Blunt was fine. She did a great job, but the girl stole the film for me. She was fantastic.
Yeah.
When you're seeing them in the second film, when they go into what's his name? Okay. Cillian
Yeah.
Murphy.
Cillian Murphy.
When he comes in, I'm
Emmett.
like, is that really? That can't be. He is not the burly kind of guy. Like that's just not the. But he did a great job.
Well, yeah. I mean,
But
yeah.
you don't usually see him play roles like that. But when you're down in his bunker and he goes into that tube
Mm,
that they have to have they use the towel to hold it close.
yeah. If they think to.
Yeah, because it won't lock. But I didn't realize at first that I thought that the towel was my first time when you see them going there. I thought the towel was there so they could close it so that the alien wouldn't hear it close.
Yeah.
But then I realized, oh, if they close it, it gets locked,
Mm-hmm.
and they're timing themselves because they're running out of oxygen.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, when I'm watching it, and he has his little baby brother or whatever
Yeah.
with him, and he's taking that little oxygen mask and he's going back and forth, I'm
Mm.
like, I was in my bedroom watching it, and I'm starting to panic, going, one of them's going to be lost here.
Right.
I
and-
honestly thought one of them was going to pass.
I think you're speaking to Lee's point about watching a movie like this on your own. Like I think
Alone.
it's really
Exactly.
important for you to be alone, almost claustrophobic in a way to
Yes.
get the full
Yes.
effect of a movie like this, and it'll really hit hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, I
got
agree with
so
everything
little
that you're
work
saying.
done that day because I was just glued to my screen. Like I had the thing here, and I'm like, I answered an email, and I had to pause the movie. Usually, I'll just like leave it going. I'm like, I gotta pause this, and then like the rest of my day was like, okay, I gotta pause my emails, and just like sit there
But-
and be totally enthralled.
But who would have thought? Let's write a movie, give it 5 minutes of dialogue, put $17 million into it, which I'm guessing like 10 million of that went into the alien design, and the
I
rest of it
think
went
I could be completely wrong, but I think Krasinski funded this himself.
I think so too. I think
Yeah.
that was just like this was his passion project.
Yes.
Yeah.
and it blows away much of what we see now.
Right. And I think
Especially
that's
from
what
horror, thriller, whatever. Like, especially
And
within that genre. Like, so much of horror thriller took so much, like, we're just gonna make Saw over and over and over again because it works so well, and it
Right.
killed the
Like,
horror genre. It killed the
Right.
horror genre. And then you have something like this come out that's not horror, that's not thriller, it's kind of both, and throw in a little bit of sci-fi, and it works.
And it works. On top of that, this is a film you could watch over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's not twists, but you have to get used to the fact of like, I mean, there are times I'm sitting there like, it's quiet. My wife and I are both watching it together. We're both silent.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that there's no dialogue actually draws you into. I thought it would like deter you from wanting to watch it, but it actually makes you focus on like what's happening around you.
Yeah.
And then like a sound is made, like when he picks up the little rocket ship.
Yeah.
And I love in the second film when they
That's
do
right
the
off the
opening,
bat. Oh yeah, you
they
see it.
show why he goes back, like where he goes back for it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not where he goes back. That was just the drugstore that they used to go to.
They show it on the shelf.
Mhm.
Yeah. To have 5 minutes of dialogue, I go back. That right there is what did this movie for me. Is 5 minutes of dialogue, and it draws you in more than anything else.
Yep.
And it was brilliantly done.
I will say I wish I had more time to just like enjoy these movies again. I felt kind of rushed, being like, oh, I gotta watch 2 movies and be ready. And like this past work week's been difficult for me. And normally, I mean, just because of my schedule. But going into it, I was like, I wish I could just like watch this, and then like when I'm going around the house, just have it in my pocket and listen to it. But it's like, no, I can't listen to this movie on the go because there's no dialogue.
There's no dialogue.
Like you have to watch this movie. And that's what,
if you listen to it, you're going to be listening to sound effects. What's that? What's that rustling? What is that? Leaves? Huh?
There's
not even rustling because they're being so quiet.
Right. And that's the thing is oh my God.
The wind blows.
When the first movie opens up and they're walking on the trail, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're all together and she's pregnant and the little boy wants the rocket ship and the dad, and
she wasn't pregnant there. She wasn't pregnant yet.
Oh, they had the baby already.
Nope.
Oh, she wasn't
She's
pregnant.
not pregnant.
Nope.
This was day 1.
Yeah.
Or close to
Well,
it.
not day 1, but it was like day whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, what's her name grabs the spaceship for her little brother, and they're walking, and
gives it back to him, winks, and then he looks up at the batteries and just takes them. And you go, "Oh no!
No!
What's
and
like? We don't even know what's going on yet. We have no idea why people are quiet.
And
it doesn't matter in that moment, though. It doesn't matter. Oh, this kid's dead. Like he grabbed the batteries.
I'm like crap. But then they're at the edge of this bridge. And you make the sound, and you see John Krasinski like turn and just haul it for his son, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he gets there, and right as he is about to grab his son, this blur comes by and just snatches him away. And you're like,
"What was that?
What just happened?
What just happened?"
It was just a black cartwheel that just rolled by, and it's gone. Like what?
What just happened? And
It did a fantastic job setting the tone for both of these movies.
100%.
You don't need any other explanation. Think about all the other movies that you see where it's just like the first 10 minutes of the movie is like a whole bunch of exposition, and we got to tell this story to set everything up, and we got to put on this and layer this. And no. 2 minutes. 2 minute scene, something comes along and grabs his kid because of noise, and everybody immediately gets it. It's literally that simple.
So here's the one issue I do have with these aliens. Is in the first movie, right before, because we all know that Krasinski, spoiler alert, we all know that we do spoilers here.
Yeah.
Krasinski dies at the end of the first movie.
What? I missed that part.
Oh, no.
Really? Well, we don't see him die, so.
Oh.
He could come back in the third movie.
I mean, don't we?
No.
Whatever.
What's he going to do? Come back as a hybrid?
Hey.
He got bit. He got bit, and now he's in. No, it wouldn't.
Well, you made a point.
Spider-Man.
We did a small conversation about this a few weeks ago, and Will's thing was he didn't like the fact that the boy was sinking in the grain, in the silo with the grain.
Okay.
You made that point.
It's not the only thing. It's not. Listen, I'm praising this right now, and I'm on board with the two of you. But when we get into it, I do have some problems with both
Well,
of these
that's what.
movies. That's one of them.
So do I, and that's what I'm sharing with right now. Is when the alien comes into that, and when her and her brother are doing the whole Rose and Jack thing,
Yeah,
trying
and
to
they're
get,
hiding underneath the. Yeah.
and they're doing that. And
Why
then
aren't they sinking?
well, first he was sinking, but then they're not. But then she uses the earpiece,
Mm-hmm.
and it scares him away, and he like tears through the side of this silo,
Right.
like this giant hole.
Mm-hmm.
15 minutes later, when they're all being chased, and they get into this truck,
Yeah.
and they're hiding inside the truck.
Mm-hmm.
This thing can't rip open the roof of a truck.
Nope.
Right.
Why?
Because
Oh
movie.
well. Yeah. Well, because that silo was made out of aluminum.
Oh. No.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like,
I do have an issue there. Why didn't he sink again?
That's what I said. That's
Like
what I
they
was getting
both,
at.
like they
why...
both, they both sit up. Like, why didn't he just immediately start sinking again? They don't get back on the board. Like he's on, like one of them's on the board, and they reach in and then grab and oh, that saved your life, yay! But then like the alien's coming for them. They're underneath the board. They don't sink. The alien rips through the silo and leaves. They both sit straight up and look at the big hole. They don't sink, and then they crawl out. All right.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. Oh man, I'm sorry. Like the trailer keeps playing over and over again on IMDb, and I'm just seeing all these scenes that we're talking about and everything. Like the kid with the with the rocket ship there, the space shuttle. But the things in this movie that freaked me out the most. I mean, we all know the Home Alone nail on the stairs, like was done so much better here, and we're like, whoa, like it was really, really good. And then you've got her like giving birth in the bathtub, and the whole plan is like set off fireworks so it detracts, or deters them, and has them, or distracts them, has them run back out. Like, wow, like the timing and the way that things worked in there, it's nuts. And then later on, in the second movie, the timing with her getting to the radio station and blasting that as the thing's getting into that like little tube that they're all hiding out in. Like, man, it all comes together, and you see why and how, and it's really well done. But those scenes, you see the trailer and you go, okay, she's afraid, hiding in a tub. You don't realize she's giving birth unless you're watching the movie and understand she's pregnant and that's what's going on. And having children myself and knowing what birth is like.
What's it like, Lee?
Oh, you know what birth is like. Really?
Tell us, Lee. You had
Explain.
children yourself, and you know what it's like. So explain. This to us.
Witnessing somebody give birth and being there for somebody who's giving birth.
I've done that. I've been there 3 times.
Yes,
I'm just saying,
exactly.
You just said
I've witnessed births happen before.
having-
Yes, please, Lee. Explain
given
to us
birth.
what it feels like.
having giving birth.
Hey, you've had kidney stones too. No, my point is this.
You just had experience.
Really?
Experience birth happening. Yeah, I'm saying like
No. No.
I'm not. You know what I'm saying.
Here's a shovel. Dig your way out.
Okay. So what I'm saying is seeing that and then being like, oh, I mean, even though like my wife didn't take any medication or everything, like I can't see her being as quiet as she was. And then there's that scene where she just screams out, right when it's like about to come in the door. I'm just like, yeah, I don't blame you. Like, that's insane that you lasted this long in the middle of it all. And then fireworks, and you're like, and again, something I couldn't sit next to somebody else and watch, the movie with, because I'm just like, no, I need people to leave me alone because this is building and building and building. It's one of the most suspenseful movies I've ever seen because
it's very
of the
suspenseful.
silence.
Yes, yeah.
It's all about the suspense, the silence that's leading up to everything that does eventually happen.
No music.
And
I love that there's not.
There is music. No,
not
there was.
over
I
the
was actually
top.
surprised. No,
it's not over the top.
No,
I'm
The
talking
definite-
about like normally when you like watch horror and thriller, like when there's music, it's like there's music to add to the suspense. Not here. When it's time for everything to be quiet, things are quiet. Not quiet, but the score is going on in the background. It's kind of none of that. I love that.
It's. But what are the few things that you have an issue with?
I think this is the dumbest family in the history of cinema. This family is so stupid. Okay. Little boy wants a toy that makes a whole bunch of noise. Let's put the batteries on the table where he can. Chuck just asked me my problems with the movie, and I said this is the dumbest family in the history of cinema. Let's put the batteries on the table and walk away and not make sure that he doesn't grab the batteries because he's a kid. He doesn't understand what's going on. He's dumb, and let's just walk away and hope and pray that he doesn't grab the batteries and do something irresponsible. Let's do that. Then, dead kid. Okay, fine, no problem. It's a tragedy. Oh my God. Let's get pregnant during the. Let's get pregnant. Let's get pregnant. Let's get pregnant. Let's either A, be careful, B, use protection, or C, just not do it at all. Find another way. Find something else to do. You don't have to put yourself in this position. It is the most irresponsible thing that people could do in a situation like this. We have to be very, very quiet. We cannot make a noise, or else these things will come in here and kill us and our 2 living children. Let's get pregnant. Let's have another baby. Are you serious? It's the dumbest rationale in the world to do this. It is the most irresponsible.
She could have been pregnant before this happened, and she just wasn't showing yet.
That would surprise me.
We don't fully know.
That would surprise me. How much time? It was like a year,
I don't
right?
remember how many days. It was like a year.
It was like a year.
In the second.
No, it was a year in between because they did the thing like 300 and whatever days, and then it jumps to like 400 and whatever days. So I just assumed it was easily a year. So she was not pregnant.
I guess, yeah.
I
don't remember the exact time frame. That's what
I'm going with that. I have a vague memory of like the time frame and when they showed like the number of days that they were on. It was easily a year between kid getting taken away by alien and then we jump forward and she's ready to burst. This is I just think it's the most irresponsible thing that you could possibly do in any scenario like this. That's why I think that they're stupid. Okay? Then she's crawling up the stairs and she got the hamper and she gets snagged on a nail. Okay? Let's not stop and make sure that it's not sticking out. Let's not stop and fix what this thing just broke or make sure that I'm going to be okay when I come down again. Nope, it got snagged on something. I'm not going to look what it got snagged on because I have laundry to do. Are you really? Come, yeah.
The only thing I would give on something like that is when you're so heavily focused on doing one thing.
It's laundry.
No, but that's
how important could it be? She's carrying laundry up the stairs.
But that's the thing, though, is the everyday tasks are now the secondary thing. It's not the primary thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Her focus isn't laundry. Her focus isn't taking care of her kids. Her focus is staying silent. And when that is your number one focus, you tend to, I don't know how many times I've been focused on something and my wife was like, she starts talking to me while I'm doing something. And then she's like, what did I just say? And I'm like, I don't know. Because she's like 2 feet from me. And I'm like, I was so heavily focused on this one thing. So I'll give it that. When you are trying to pay so much attention to being silent the way they are, you're going to make mistakes somewhere along the way. Big time.
I'm just saying the nail could have been so easily avoided if she was actually like due diligent and she turned around to actually take a look. Oh my God, what did the snag on? That's something that even if you're and we've all been there where you're at work, it's high intensity, it's really busy, you're going a million miles a minute and you make a mistake or something doesn't go exactly right or there's a misstep somewhere. What do? You immediately want to know, oh my God, what just happened? And you're going to turn around. That's every scenario, but it didn't happen here because she was carrying laundry up the stairs. My point isn't that she wasn't paying attention. My point is that it was in the movie simply so that later on she could walk down and step on the nail. Like that's the only reason why it was done that way. And it just, I think there could have been a more clever way to go about doing that whole thing. That's my only problem. But
right. It's classic movie storytelling. It's the same exact thing. You see it happen, and you don't know exactly what's gonna happen, but you're like, oh, that's clearly going to be a big deal later on. Like, there's no way around it. You
It
see
would
her
be
getting
one
stabbed with a
thing.
nail. There's a nail on the steps. Oh, we've seen this
Yes,
before.
obviously.
You know,
It would be
Why
one
does
thing
no one
if she
wear
was,
shoes?
because it's too loud.
yeah, the shoes are too loud. That I have no problem with. That's one of the things I
Which they
actually
made a very
love.
big point. They made
Yes.
that a very big point when you watch the beginning of the second movie, and he's walking around through the store, and his boots are going clop, 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 clop as he's walking through. It's like, okay, they're making a valid point that, normal everyday life is loud, and
Yeah,
he's not even doing anything loud. He's just grabbing a melon or whatever, and
that's one
some
thing
fruit and walking through, and
Yeah, but
that's another
sneakers aren't
positive. That's another positive I will give to this
they're
movie.
called sneakers for a reason, right?
That's another positive I'm going to give to this movie. When you watch them back to back like this and you get to the
yeah.
second movie and the opening, it's sensory overload because of how loud
Oh.
everything is. It's
Absolutely.
wild.
On
It's
purpose.
wild the way that these two movies were able to accomplish something like that. I really like that a lot.
Me too. I really appreciated it.
So, yeah.
Is this the island, the only place that has survivors, you think?
No,
Probably
it's just the
not.
closest.
Yeah. I'm sure
It
there
was
are
just the
others.
closest. It was just beyond the sea.
I mean, if there's, there's islands all over the place.
Yeah.
It's not the only island that's like out there.
But when these creatures fell, I'm guessing they fell,
Well, crashed.
Yeah,
crashed. But was it just one ship that crashed in that area?
Not sure. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So then, why aren't the other continents fine? I don't know.
That's a good
Valid point.
question.
They never really got into that.
No.
And I think that's the point, which they might get into it in the third film, because right now all they have is we have just their perspective. We don't have a global perspective. It's not like Independence Day where it's like, oh, now they're in Beijing, now they're here, now they're there. It's like
That's what Cloverfield did so well, was they told that story from different perspectives. I'm kind of hoping they do the same thing here. Like tell the same story, but somewhere else, where there are other people going through in other parts of the world.
The second one, Cloverfield
Lane.
Cloverfield Lane.
With John Goodman.
With John Goodman. Yeah. There's been other Cloverfield movies, and I'm assuming like each one was a little bit different, but that's like the big thing. Like you never see that.
There's more than 2 Cloverfield
There was
movies?
Cloverfield, there was Cloverfield Lane. Wasn't there Cloverfield like Resurgence or something? Wasn't there another one?
There was something about that.
Because Cloverfield.
Oh, the Cloverfield Paradox.
Yes,
was that one.
Yes.
Was that all due to the same?
10 Cloverfield Lane, the Cloverfield Paradox, the Cloverfield Files.
Really?
Yeah.
Is this all centered around the same incident?
I mean,
teenager YouTuber notices strange events when his father leaves for work one morning and does not return for the night. Yeah, Cloverfield Files.
Because Cloverfield.
So Cloverfield Lane, Cloverfield Paradox, and there's a 4th movie that's going to be coming out soon that is yet to be determined. But they're all, Cloverfield was different from 10 Cloverfield Lane. That was different from Cloverfield Paradox, and I'm assuming that the 4th one is going to be different as well. That's my point. Like, telling that story from different perspectives with different things going on, and how different 10 Cloverfield Lane was to the original Cloverfield was wild. It was a fantastic way to take the franchise and like just fresh eyes, fresh coat of paint, but like in the same universe. I'm kind of hoping.
You see one special effect too, and that's the explosion at the end when he gets out, and you're like, the whole movie takes place in the bunker.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because they're in the bunker because of what's going on outside. That's my thing. Like it was a completely different thing.
Right.
I'm just saying. I think it's cool. I think when movies do things like that, it's cool, and I wouldn't mind seeing like A Quiet Place kind of move in that direction. Like we've done
when Blair Witch came out with the whole let's do the whole 3.5 millimeter shot.
The second movie was so bad. Oh,
because they went with the same feel. Let's do it again. When Cloverfield did it, they did it from the first person shooter, and then when they did 10 Cloverfield Lane, it was not from the first person shooter. Because Cloverfield was, and there were little things in there like when they're watching the tape back and you see it falling in the sky and crashing into the ocean. It's a little.
Yeah.
Do you remember stuff like that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like you had to go back and like really pay it, and you didn't have the TVs we have today,
No.
so it was a lot harder to like catch it. There was 720p, but there was no like 1080. There was no 4K. You
It
didn't
wasn't
have this stuff.
720, it was 480 at best. Come
480.
on. 480. Or if it's a
When
tube
did that-
TV, it's
when
what,
did that come out?
240?
It came out with flat screen TVs.
What are we talking about?
Cloverfield.
Yeah. That
Okay.
was no. Oh yeah. No. There was
Cloverfield
definitely
came out
720 outside
Cloverfield came out in 08.
Yeah.
So
was
yeah,
just high
it was
def.
probably
Yeah,
720.
we
It was
had
probably
720
720.
1080.
Yeah.
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 Or 1080i, but
We had 10
either
Yeah, I was
way.
about to say we had 1080 in 08. Did we
We
really?
had 1080i.
I'm
We had
pretty sure
1080i.
but not 10. So the TVs, yeah. So there's I and there's P. So there's progressive and there's interlaced.
Interlaced.
Yeah.
So 1080i is basically 540 lines of resolution at any given moment. They just flip flop.
Yeah.
720p is a full 720 lines of progressive, and then 1080p is a full 1080.
Huh.
So
1080p video became available in 2003. That's a lot
Yeah,
earlier than I
told you.
thought.
Yeah. No, it definitely
it
existed.
became
That was
available in the TVs, but nothing. It's like
nothing was shot in it.
Yeah.
except for the handful of Blu-rays that were out in that time.
Blu-rays didn't come out until
Blu-rays were coming out. That was the big fight between Blu-ray and HD.
I feel like Blu-ray was
No. Because you're forgetting about the elusive HD VHSs that did not make it at all. That happened.
VHS. It was also HD DVD.
Yes,
Right, that was
there
that
was.
Microsoft.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which it was,
those
there
two
was like
formats did
there was
not
a-
go anywhere.
Mm.
Right, but there was a good year or two where HD DVD and Blu-ray were fighting. It was Sony versus Microsoft.
Right.
Yeah,
and it was basically and you could buy an additional add-on for Xbox with the HD DVD player, but
Yep.
Sony PS3 had the Blu-ray in
Right.
it.
Right.
But when you're watching, like to your point though, when you're watching films like that, this movie, the only thing that made it different was there was more added dialogue with the beginning, which had the more crazy sound.
yeah,
Outside of that, with a film like this, what I did appreciate, they didn't change it much, but what I did appreciate is when they're showing things from what's her name's point of view,
From
the little girl's
from
point of
Regan's
view,
point of view.
Mhm.
Silence.
all the sound goes away.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're sitting there going, so like
Mm.
when she's in the train and she's trying to
Yeah.
get the first aid kit,
Oh my god,
and the
it's
thing
yeah.
comes in and you're seeing it, but you hear nothing.
Mhm.
You're like, no.
And she's hearing nothing.
You're like,
Yeah.
oh no. And then when Cillian Murphy comes back in and just takes it out, you're like, I sat there and went, look, I breathed. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. You didn't breathe for 5 minutes.
Oh, this was heavy. It was such a hard, like, I watched the first movie and if it wasn't, midnight, I would have been like, let's watch the next movie.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was so good.
I think
Yeah.
that's something. I think that's something that the first movie really accomplished when their little boy got ripped away by the alien, is that nobody's safe, and it was like reaffirmed at the end of that movie when Krasinski bit the bullet. Nobody's safe.
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah,
get
kids,
her,
Main
yeah,
character.
yeah.
quote,
So when you
yeah.
get her on that train, you're like, oh my god, it's gonna happen all over again. Like you're ready for
Right.
it. It's really well done. It's fantastic storytelling.
But you realize that as much as Emily Blunt and John Krasinski were the stars, the girl was actually the main character through both films. She
Yeah.
was the centerpiece of it all. And they used her because she is deaf as the centerpiece of the entire the two films. And I thought, for someone who is deaf, who can say a handful of actual words,
Well, I mean, she can say all the words. It's just that.
she doesn't know every single word because she's never heard them all. But what I'm saying is, she has a harder time actually talking, and her acting in this was better than most I've seen in bigger movies.
Well, yeah, she spent her whole life having to communicate outside of verbal communication.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very clear that she's super gifted. She's an actress and she's got that disability. That she's gonna make up for it everywhere else.
People who
And you look at it,
usually people who grow up with these kind of disabilities, their other senses are super heightened. So it's no
yeah,
surprise. It's no surprise that the majority of them go on to like
She's the Matt Murdock
the
of acting.
oh my
yeah.
god, oh my god. When we got to in The Last of Us, when we got to
Mm,
Sam and his brother storyline, that little boy, he was deaf. And it's like,
yep.
okay, we're going in that but
Yes,
it's
he
like,
was.
Mhm.
okay, and I know you're talking about her, but just for a moment, I want to give Emily Blunt her due.
Oh, absolutely.
I
Oh,
want to give
yeah.
Emily Blunt her due because she's one of those actresses I thought was typecast. Like The
Mm,
Devil Wears Prada. Let's not
yeah, I don't
I
know
just
that.
want to say The Devil Wears Prada.
Was
Or
she
like,
in that?
yes,
Yeah, that she popped up in a
Edge
trailer
of
thing. Yeah.
Tomorrow. Like she's been in
Hmm.
some pretty bad movies. She is
I
not.
liked Edge of
Did
Tomorrow.
you
Edge of Tomorrow
really?
was. I loved
The
that movie.
concept was actually pretty cool. I rewatched it again like a month or so ago. I did appreciate that. I mean,
Eh,
it's got time travel, so of course I'm gonna like it
yeah.
one way or another. But when I saw her in this, it reminded me of her character in Looper. You remember that scene in Looper where she's like pretending to smoke a cigarette
Yes.
and she's just like sitting there like tapping like nothing in her hand? When I when I was watching this movie, I was seeing her in that role again because she's very much like I'm just acting this out, acting in a way that's different, like not having to say anything, not having to have dialogue, but just portraying like what's going on with her without having to speak. And I don't know when Edge of Tomorrow came out compared to this. Probably before this, I would assume.
Edge of Tomorrow came
Um,
out in 2014.
yeah. Okay. So I feel like that's what kind of led to this, and you can see how that
I don't.
carried on to.
I don't know. Her
She's all
resume
over the
is
place.
all over the place.
It's
Yeah,
all
she
over the
is.
place, but
She's Mary Poppins.
yeah, but
Yes.
that's what I'm talking about. Like she's known for
Later on.
roles that fit a certain type of mold, not this. This is very different
You think
compared
Edge
to
of
this is
Tomorrow? You think Edge of Tomorrow fell in with Devil Wears Prada? I think
no,
that's
no, but
very
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying this role for Emily Blunt does not fit the rest of her filmography. Like she completely broke out of the mold that she was
well.
previously in, and I always want to
This
give
is her
that.
husband's passion project,
I
so
You won't
he
let
was
me.
gonna.
You
He
won't
gave
let
her an
me give
opportunity.
her. You won't let me say good things about Emily Blunt. You won't. You just let me do
I'm
it.
She
Just let me do it. I'm saying that she got this role. I don't care who her husband is. She got this role because of her acting abilities, and it does not fit anything else that she has done with her career or anything else in her filmography, right? And she did this role and she knocked it out of the park. That's my point, and I thought she did a really good job.
did do a good job.
Everybody in this movie did a good job. The only one that we all don't like is the little boy.
Yeah.
Because like when
Yeah.
he leaves the baby down there to go upstairs and do what? What was he trying to do? What was his goal? The kid's afraid of everything, and
He
he's like,
can't walk.
let's leave
In
the
that
baby. Yeah,
moment,
he can't
in
walk
this
because
moment,
he ran
he
through
can
a bear
barely
trap.
walk. Yes. Yes.
So he goes up, gets spooked by a dead dude or actually, I think that must have been Emmett's wife. I'm assuming.
In the first movie, he
laying
was
there.
scared by a fish flopping on a rock.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, because he thought it was going to make too much noise.
It doesn't
But
matter.
the point is, like,
The fish
yeah.
was flopping and he wanted to be anywhere else. He was scared of a fish.
Oh, that's what I want to say. There's one scene in here that
Please,
creeps
mommy,
me out
don't make
beyond
me
anything.
go.
Yep, there's that.
Yep.
But
You
but
brought him up.
I know. I'm just saying, like, we all don't like this character. Like, by the end, we're like, good. He takes a gun, shoots the thing in the head. Okay, good job. That kind of redeems you for a second because you did something right.
Sure.
But, I mean, you're meant to not like this character. I mean, you're meant to look at this character and say, okay, he's the weakest one here, clearly, outside of the baby, because the baby's a literal baby.
I'm
But I
honestly
would say
surprised that he made it to the end of the second movie. Like it's
I
kind
am
of
as well.
okay. Good. I thought it was just me.
Obviously they weren't going to kill off the baby, but I will say the one scene that freaked me out the most, and I mean, it was just creepy. When she's down in the sound bunker or whatever you want to call it, the first one, and it's all flooded,
Mm.
and the creature just like slowly creeps into the water. The way that it just like leans over and just like into the water, that freaked me out.
Well, when it goes into the water and then she goes into the water, I was
Yes.
like, no.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like she's there because she needs to find the oxygen for the baby, but it's like, it's just the image of how it just like
Slithers.
slid into the
Yeah.
water freaked me out. And she's in it, and you go, "This is
Well,
a nightmare."
She was out of it, and then she gets in it, and I'm like, why? Wait,
That thing touches your leg, you're dead. Like,
wait,
Pretty much.
just wait until it leaves. Like,
Yeah.
wait, your baby's not gonna die in the next.
Not at all. The baby's gonna be fine.
now
was-
the interesting thing, why would that thing want to be under the water? It can't swim, which we find out in the second movie.
Maybe because it's shallow. It's shallow water, and it's less.
Yes, but why would it want to be in the water? Because it can't hear things, and it benefits off of hearing things. And underwater,
Sonar?
everything is kind of all over the sonar.
Well, what?
They don't have sonar. If they had
How do you
sonar,
know?
it'd be a whole different movie.
They can hear.
They can.
The whole thing is their hearing ability.
I get that. Okay, fine, sonar.
I'm making
but
stuff
they-
up.
but they-
I don't
I
know.
know because they can't see. The other thing is this: do they not have a sense of smell?
No hearing.
Ooh.
All they have is hearing.
All they have is
Ooh.
hearing.
Can they taste?
Eh.
Probably.
Oh, okay. They can taste, but they can't smell. Okay. Well, so I mean, that's tasting is more than hearing. I mean, you block your. Go ahead and block your nose while you eat something. Tell me if you can taste anything.
Yeah, but they're not human.
I understand that.
They don't have
but-
eyes.
I understand that, but here's my thing.
So you can't say, oh, because they lost one of the five senses that we have, it must affect them the same way.
You just said all they have is hearing, but they taste. So
No, they
you're
eat.
backing it up. Okay, fine. I just think it's funny that you have a creature that's clearly like, what's this creature's goal? Do they eat the people? Doesn't seem like it. All the people are left.
Parasite.
They're just killing them. Parasite.
Well, no, like locusts.
Locusts eat things.
Yeah, but they move. Yeah, but locusts also move from environment to environment and just consume
The
everything.
locust
things.
thing was done already with Independence Day.
I know, but it's the same. I'm just saying it could be a similar concept because we really don't know. It looks like they're just here to like kill us, eat.
It's true.
That's
Eat and go.
literally what it looks like. I'm hungry.
Eat and go.
But they're not eating though. I don't know. It's just,
that.
We don't know
Corporal
that they're
Pig
not
got
eating.
Taken away. He got
Yeah.
snatched, taken away.
We don't know what
Taken away,
happened to
yeah.
him.
that's the thing is we've never seen what they do. I mean, there was that dude. who
Here's
was
a
like-
question.
need
Here's a
to.
question. Here's a question. In both of these movies, while they're, everybody's traveling and everything else, do you see any corpses laying around? I don't see
One.
any. Because
Well,
I'm.
you do
Once
on the train.
on the train.
Tons of them on
Once
the
on the
train.
train.
Oh really?
That's it.
I forgot
Tons of them
about
on the train.
that.
The whole train was full.
No, it wasn't. There's only a handful.
So they
You only
Okay,
see
so
it
they
on
didn't
the
eat 'em?
train.
didn't eat them.
No.
Well,
Huh.
do they eat all of them? No, but did they eat some of them? We don't. Probably.
This one ate too much blueberries. I don't like the taste of his blood.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
just-
Come on! I'm trying to come up with something.
There's only a few of them and a lot of humans. By the time they got to that one, the human beings were rotted.
And what's interesting here is if you, I just saw it again. The old man screaming. What they do is when they run past somebody, they just smack them. That's what they do. They smack them with their weird claws, and then they go back and do whatever it is they're gonna do. The only time we saw them spend a lot of time with something, but we didn't even see it, was the dude that he basically tied to the post over at the marina.
Yeah.
And he's under the water, and all you see is some blood coming into the water.
Well, that was a smack, but he couldn't go flying anywhere because he was tied to the post.
Yeah, but it was continuous because
Yeah.
because when it kind of cut back up, you kind of saw a flash of
No, yeah, I
him
know what you
being
mean.
beaten up still, but it was like we still don't know what was happening. So
If he
I'm
wasn't,
still gonna
if
stick
he
with
wasn't
we don't
tied to the
really know.
post, he probably would have been flying after the first whack. But
I
because,
know. But that's the thing is like everybody just gets smacked. These creatures are going around just slapping people. That's it. Invasion of the Body Slappers. That's what this is.
Yeah, this
Invasion of
is
the body
this
slap.
is a good point. This is a good point. You're making some sense here.
But
How do you pronounce the guy's name?
is it Killian or Cillian? Is that
No.
what you're
Cillian,
asking?
Killian.
Digimon
Oh, that
Hansu?
guy. Oh yeah. Digimon Hansu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimon.
He's credited as
He's in everything.
He's credited as Man on Island.
Oh wow.
He's not even named Man on Island.
Because there's no other men on that island. I need to go back for my family.
You-
Well, he's been in so much stuff. Blood Diamond.
I'm Star Lord. Who?
Wow.
He was in Shazam, I guess. Black Adam.
Oh yeah, of course he was in Shazam.
He's in a lot of stuff.
He's been in a lot. And he's actually a phenomenal actor.
He is he was in a movie called Never Give Up.
What was the one where he was like a homeless man with a huge
Why?
heart?
Okay, why? Well, hang on. I gotta stop. Why are we doing this? He's going to be in Gladiator Part 2. Why is Gladiator coming out with a second movie?
Are you serious? Are you
Why would I
serious
lie?
right now?
Why would I lie?
Because the audience was so entertained the first time, they want to entertain them again.
Where are you seeing this?
Denzel Washington? Pedro Pascal?
What?
Why? Why is Denzel gonna be in a Gladiator movie?
Oh boy.
Where are you seeing this?
Are you sure it's real?
It's on IMDb.
That doesn't mean anything.
I'm trying to find it on IMDb, and I'm not seeing it.
Gladiator 2.
Did you spell it properly?
Directed by Ridley Scott.
Gladiator or Gladiator?
Gladiator. Gladiator 2.
Okay.
By Ridley Scott.
Directed by Ridley Scott. Written by David who?
Fincher.
No. Starring Pedro Pascal,
Pedro
Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there's Russell Crowe. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he in it?
Oh boy. Connie Nielsen.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. It's got Matt Lucas in it. Interesting. Peter Mensa. Okay, well. Yeah, quite the cast.
Oh my god. Welcome to Black and White Reviews, everybody, where we review upcoming movies.
Matt Lucas.
This
I
week,
just told you.
Gladiator 2.
Oh jeez. Why? Yeah.
But I mean, back to A Quiet Place 1 and 2. I think for what they did something so far out of the box that no one's ever done before. And I think out of the few complaints that we've had, because I think there's a complaint with every movie we've done, I think there are more positives with these two films than there are negatives. And I think that there is more to praise with what Krasinski did with these than, especially being how often do you get a guy who does his first debut as a director and it comes out this good? Like,
It's not often.
fantastic.
It's rare.
It's not super common, but it does happen. And unfortunately, it usually only happens like once, and then they don't do it again. And you go, why? Why? That was so good.
He did it again, and it was. I love how the first movie just ends, and you're like, to me, it was like if I had watched this in real time, it would have been like the same as you guys watching seasons that the mid finale of season 8 of Breaking Bad, when you have that like what's gonna happen, and now you have to wait 3 years for part 2. Well,
No.
for me, I waited a few days.
No.
I'm gonna say I don't feel it was a cliffhanger. The way they ended it was like they have a way to kill them now.
Yes.
They could have just left the movie and not even made a sequel.
The sequel was
but they
I
did.
will say that for this movie, the sequel wasn't necessary. You didn't need the sequel to understand like what was going to happen. They have a
No.
weapon. They can kill them now. The world is going to be okay because
Yeah,
they're going to teach
and
everybody. Like, yeah.
the way they ended it was very much like, she cocks the gun and then that's it. It's like, oh, okay. Like it was a real like, you know, she's a bad girl. Like, here we go. Like, now we're good to go. We have a way. And this movie ended the same exact way. The same exact way. They put the frequency through the radio station. She stabs the thing in the head. End credits.
So no, she doesn't. No, because she takes it back out. He shoots other thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, she doesn't stab it. She slashes it. And I want to know.
Oh, no, she went sideways with it through its head. It looked like a slash, but that's because we couldn't see the head. I checked it again when we
Okay,
watched
so
it.
she went.
She went
So
like
she jabbed it.
She jabbed it
Because
through.
it looked like she like whacked it, and like it's a round pull. How did
Yeah.
that thing go through? Like that's just not possible.
Right.
But okay, so I'll take that back then, because for me, I watched it and I was like, ooh, I kind of want to see what happens next. No, I guess because I knew there was a part 2. I wanted to know
Yeah.
what happened next.
I don't know. Comparing this, I think you're doing reaching a little bit trying to compare this to like that cliffhanger of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Hank sitting on that toilet was torture. That was torture. This was, oh, they have a weapon now. They can go kill them all. All right.
Right.
Sure.
And they could have ended it there and been totally fine. But
What do you
now
mean?
that they
True.
made the second
I'm
movie,
sorry.
now that the second movie was made and they ended it that way, now we want to see what happens now.
Right. I'm sorry. It wasn't really that bad to watch Hank sit in the toilet and then. I mean, I waited like 2 weeks.
Well, for the true fans out there who jumped on the bandwagon during the show and didn't just come along and have everything at your disposal on Netflix.
I never had a thought of ever going into watching that show.
There's a lot of there's a lot of really dirty language that I want to say to you right now because you're tap dancing on some nerves. But
the only reason why I started watching that show is because you guys kept on talking about it, and I'm like, what is the big deal with this show? And I'm sorry, I'm so glad I jumped on that bandwagon because it is to date one of the best TV shows I have ever seen.
So
I kind of wish I never saw it though, because I feel like since that show came out, I've been so much more critical about anything film and TV.
You've always been critical about film and TV, even before Breaking Bad.
I feel like it's been magnified by like 50 because of Breaking Bad.
You're underplaying it. You're underplaying this. You've always been critical. You've always been critical about everything. About
no, he's been over literal about everything, but he's also over critical about things that are not comedy. If it's comedy, he'll overlook everything.
Yes.
Well, because comedy doesn't take itself seriously. That's the whole point of it. But if you're gonna take yourself seriously, then there needs to be some kind of logic behind it.
So
that makes perfect sense. A comedy is a joke. Anything else besides that is not a joke, so therefore it needs to be taken seriously and paid attention to. In a comedy, you can just laugh something off and say, well, it's a comedy movie. We're not going for, realistic anything here.
Yeah.
Because it's a joke. It's literally a joke.
So we talked about it a little bit, and I maybe this will be something interesting to go on. How do you see the rest of John Krasinski's directing career might go? Do you think this is going to be the start for something for him, or do you think he's going to like leave it at this and like go back into acting?
So I think the interesting thing here is the first movie came out in 2018.
Yeah.
And then the next one came out in when?
2020.
2020. And that was a rough year for like everything because of COVID and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Unless you're self-produced and self-funded and self-everything.
Right. But still, I mean, even so, like getting the production team together, people who want to work and everything during that time was rough. So he did that. Oh yeah, that's my other point I want to get into. Obviously, we are years later now when they're talking about 2025 being when Quiet Place 3 comes out. The 2 years in between these movies, at least that boy aged.
Oh, of course.
Here we are 5 years later.
That's the problem with kid actors is they age fast.
What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do with this now that they've aged so much, especially the boy? Girls,
No,
for some reason, you can kind of pass.
you can
pass
get
them
away
off.
with it.
Follow the same- if they
Yeah, but
follow the
boys,
same
their
family.
voice is totally
Yeah.
different.
They
and
age
they're-
really
follow-
fast.
If
Yeah.
they follow that family.
Well, exactly. If they follow that family, which I
Right.
don't think they should. But Lee brought up.
But if they don't, you're gonna have a lot of people upset.
true,
That's the problem. So
True.
and it goes back to my thought of like, let's look at the original Halloween series. Halloween, Halloween 2, and then they did Halloween 3: Season of the Witch, which was proving like, oh, not everything that John Carpenter puts out that calls it's part of this series of Halloween movies has to do with Michael Myers. But people are like, where's Michael Myers? This movie's a joke. So then he went back to Michael Myers for every other Halloween movie after that. And it's funny because if you look back, if you weren't alive back in '78, I think, when Halloween came out, and you look back, you're like, how come this random third movie is here? It's like, well, if you think about it, he wasn't planning on making everything about Michael Myers. Michael Myers died at the end of the second one. Good, we're done. But everybody was clamoring for more of that. They're like, oh, let's bring him back, because horror movies did that back in the '70s, '80s. Just kept bringing back the character. So I think the issue that we're running into now is they could go ahead and follow a different family, but then people are like, but what about them? We want to see that.
What
So
about-
you're
yeah.
gonna have a divided fan base at that point, because people want to see it move on. Like, we would love to see a new story, but then what happens to this character here or these characters here that were clearly doing something?
It's like when Hannibal came
So-
out and everybody wanted to know where Clarice was.
Yeah.
Well, not what's her name? Because she was recasted.
Yeah. It was Jodie Foster.
Jodie
to
Foster.
Julianne Moore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but everybody wanted to know where Jodie Foster was. Like even something that small, fans will have a really hard time to get on board with.
But even
Right.
when they went away from her altogether and brought in Edward Norton,
For
Oh,
Red
Red
Dragon.
Dragon. Yeah,
and then that
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally
really
different
took a-
character.
that's another
really
one.
took a spin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's kind of the same, like, where the focus is Anthony Hopkins. Like, that's the focus is Anthony Hopkins, who wasn't even if you watch the first Silence of the Lambs, he was a side character.
he had what, 8
movie
minutes
wasn't
of
even
screen
about him.
time?
Yeah, the movie
It
wasn't
is
even about
not
him,
a
but they
lot.
liked
It's
him.
wild. It's wild his screen time in the Silence of the Lamb movie. It's
Mm.
it's under 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it's something like that. But that's the thing is, like, that's what stuck out is his part in that.
I thought it was like 18 minutes or something like that. Something either way.
No, not even. Definitely not even that much. Couldn't have been, because he was such a small part. It was all about Buffalo Bill, and Clarice. But anyway, yeah, I feel like
16
tough
minutes.
now
It was
because
16 minutes.
16. Okay, all right, more than
But
I thought.
still, it's yeah.
But I'm concerned because and we've said this so many times over and over again. The formula only works for so long, and it's things are eventually going to take a dive. So I feel like if they keep on pushing and pushing, and it might be why he's held off until 2005 to want to push for a third movie. Because he's like, I want this to be good. I don't. wanna go off and make
2005.
a movie."
2005, really?
I say 25 years.
You said
What? Whatever.
2005.
2005.
Whatever. 2025. It's late, guys. Come on.
That's okay.
I've been here since like 6:30.
I'm just messing with you. Relax.
But the point is, like, obviously they're taking a break here, in order to do something that's going to be good. Like, he doesn't want to just rush through something because people want it. But, we might run into a problem, because whatever. You get what I'm saying.
They could
I'm just
recast
done.
him though.
They
You know
could
what?
recast him.
I wasn't even asking so much for just A Quiet Place. I was just asking for, like, do you think he'll be one of the? Do you think he's gonna end up going down the road of like Jordan Peele?
I feel like if he was, he would have done something else by now.
So do I. Yeah, I agree.
Like, if that was the direction he was going, I feel like he would have already done it. I don't feel like he's gonna go out there and be like, "Oh, John Krasinski," as in like this new great big director. I feel
A
like
John
it's gonna be
Krasinski
like, wow.
film.
Yeah, like, I feel like it's gonna be like, if he does put other things out, you're gonna be like, "Oh man, that's good." I really appreciate that. But he's not gonna be like this major famous guy just because he's directing now. I don't feel like he's gonna blow up like that.
I'm glad he broke away from The Office.
Well, yeah.
So am
Everybody
I.
Everyone's glad for that. He did what, Jack Ryan, and then he started doing this stuff.
He did
Yeah.
13 Hours, which
Yeah.
is a Michael Bay film that Will needs to watch.
Ay, ay, ay.
That
Sure.
will like.
Sure.
I'm
Sure, I will.
You will like this.
I
I'm
never
100%.
said I wouldn't. Relax. I'll get
Well, I'm
around
just
to
saying
watching that
because
movie one
Because
day.
it's a Michael Bay film, and you hate Michael Bay.
I'm just okay. Away from Michael Bay. The reason why I agree with Lee. I think if Krasinski was gonna go down the road of Jordan Peele, he would have done more. I'm just saying, like, he has a lot of potential because
Oh, absolutely.
people who do movies like these, they usually have a long line of success. Look at George Romero. Look at Sam Raimi. Like, they were able to do this weird thing and put a whole new spin on the genre and go on to be massively successful. And I wish the same thing for Krasinski, because I like his vision. I like the way that he does things, and I want to really see what else he has to offer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do. I don't know if I would want him to do A Quiet Place Part 3. I think you could leave it alone at 1 and 2. I think they're fine, solid films the way they are. I think Lee will be correct if you do a third one. I think maybe you're not gonna keep your entire fan base happy no matter what you do. And again, it's because child actors grow up so fast. Chuck, and I'm not giving anything away about Stranger Things, that's a really big problem on that show, is the way that all of those boys grow up so fast and you're still expected to believe that it's still like 1980 whatever. Like, no, absolutely not. They're way too old now. They have grown up way too fast. And then you have the main female lead on that show who does not look like she aged a day from episode 1 to the final episode that we got in season 4. It's wild the way that things like that happen. So yeah, there's gonna be some issues. I want to see something else from him. I hope that he's not done. I want him to do more.
I'm with you. I agree.
Okay.
But overall, I think he did a fantastic job with these. I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm glad I took the step away from, I'm like you. When you were gonna watch Batman Dark Knight Rises and you were hesitant at first.
Dark Knight.
Yeah. Sorry, Dark Knight. When I first heard about this, I was hesitant because I was like, but I'm glad I took that step and watched it finally, because I was like, this is actually overall does it have its flaws? Yeah, but overall I thought it was fantastic, and I would definitely recommend this to other people to watch.
Absolutely.
Say, hey,
absolutely.
take your time.
And
if you want a good suspense,
yeah,
I mean, to the point where you're like you're getting tense. Like,
yeah,
my whole body got tense at times. So I was like, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
And I was thoroughly appreciative of that. I thought John Krasinski, I'm thankful that he came out, broke out of the mold that so many people are getting themselves into, and did something like this. Because what is it? A24 films? Is it A24?
Yeah. A24.
They're putting on some phenomenal stuff, but they're also doing like Everything Everywhere All at Once was still a 2.5 hour film.
Yeah,
it's still really long. I appreciate the 1.5-hour film, and going back to that, like in the 90s, and that to me says quite a bit. But with that, if you guys are good, I am good.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I'm glad that we retouched upon this. I don't know, I've got this thing where I hate to do something I've already done before. It's just like, okay, I've done it, we can move on. So generally going back, I mean, this isn't the first time we've come back to something, right? I feel like we've done it once before.
Man.
I want to do one, but you guys won't do it.
What, Tenet?
No.
He wants to do Superman 3.
No.
Oh, okay, then what are you talking about? Oh. It'll be worse.
Passion in the Desert?
No. What am I thinking, Will?
He's thinking about Equilibrium.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'll be worse. Because here's how that conversation's gonna go. No, here's how that conversation's gonna go. You're gonna talk about all the things that you loved about the movie, and Lee and I are gonna complain about something, and then go, "We already talked about this. Why are we doing it again?" That's gonna be the conversation. I watched this before. We talked about this.
We did do something over and over again. Shang-Chi.
Oh yeah,
3 times.
Did we seriously
that was
do it 3
awful.
times?
We tried. I think we did. Yeah, we did it twice. In the
we
third,
did it twice. And the
One of
third
you,
time we just like, nope.
no, absolutely not. I'm
We
done.
noped out.
Absolutely not.
I was like, no chance.
Absolutely not. No. No.
But before
No,
we
but
end,
and what you were just saying, I wanna touch on this. A24 Studios is quickly becoming like my favorite production studio that's out there, and like what they've been able to put out over the past, I'm gonna say, decade. There was a movie came out not too long ago called The Whale with oh my
yeah,
god.
it was A24.
Yes,
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan
he won
Fraser.
awards for that.
Brendan
Yeah.
Fraser, he won awards. Brendan Fraser's comeback
Yeah.
story, and
Fraser.
he's amazing. He's a much better actor than he was back during The Mummy.
Well, he just did that other one, the Scorsese one too.
Yes,
right?
he did. And
And a lot of people are pooping all over his overacting in it, but Scorsese said he was perfect. He was spot on.
how okay.
I don't know.
Who-
Somebody said he was over the top.
Have you seen a Scorsese movie? That's my question to everybody out there who wants to say that. Have you ever seen a Scorsese movie? Go watch any Scorsese movie, and everybody is always acting over the top.
Yeah.
It's like a staple of a Scorsese film.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and watch Mean Streets. Harvey Keitel is ridiculous in that movie. Okay, I'll just say that and I'll leave it there. But anyways, yeah, The
I kind of
Whale.
just want to rewatch. I kind of just want to rewatch the scene
I haven't
from
seen
Wolf of
that
Wall
yet.
Street with where he's
Yes,
like crawling up the stairs.
yes,
I
yes.
just want to rewatch that scene.
Tell me that
I
he
haven't
was
He's like yelling at him about the
talk
phone.
talk about overacting. Wolf of Wall Street is littered with overacting.
Oh man.
Have you seen the Scorsese movie if you really believe that? But anyways, away from there, another movie that I really love, Jake Gyllenhaal, An Enemy. That's an amazing movie. Ex Machina, amazing movie. I would never
Wait,
suggest that.
Ex Machina was A24?
A24?
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
Really?
A Most Violent Year was another amazing movie. Under the Skin, Lee, Uncut Gems. I know. Did you watch Uncut Gems?
No,
Adam
I
Sandler?
was going to. Yeah, I know it. I just did, I
Fantastic.
heard amazing things about it. I read a
Fantastic.
lot about it.
So that's a movie that it's like
I'm gonna get an A24 list going and just start watching.
anytime like you have this overly comedic actor who transitions into doing something different, they for whatever reason they always knock it out of the park.
Oh, yeah,
Jordan Peele, Adam Sandler,
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, Robin Williams, like they've all been able to knock it out of the park whenever they slip into
Tom
something
Hanks.
different. Yeah, Tom Hanks is well.
He's
Yeah,
I don't
Tom
know.
Hanks kind of he's not on the level of the other names that I mentioned.
no, but Castaway was really good.
Yes.
He did a great job in
Yes.
Castaway. I mean, Forrest Gump was Forrest Gump, and the story was well put together. Zemeckis did a great job with it.
Yes.
But I'd say like as far as like straight up acting skills and being able to portray somebody who's completely left to their own devices and just stuck,
Mhm.
Tom Hanks knocked it out of the park in that movie. And
Yeah.
was that Zemeckis? That was Zemeckis again, actually. I think who directed that. So he did. I think he did Forrest Gump and Castaway,
Did he really?
if I recall correctly. Yeah.
They did a movie called White Noise. Is that a
Shush.
is that
We
a
don't
remake?
talk about that movie.
No,
Ever.
this was 2022. This was last year.
Yeah.
Did they
Z-
remake that movie?
Zemeckis and Lee, you were right. Zemeckis did Castaway.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking him seriously. Did they redo that movie?
I don't know.
Listen.
I have no idea.
Listen.
Nor do I care.
Listen. There's a reason why I don't care, because I cannot take Adam Driver seriously in anything. I do not like him. I just
Is he in
don't.
this remake?
He's in White Noise in 2022, and I
Oh,
wanted
jeez.
to see it. I wanted to see it until I saw his name, and I noped out really fast. I just don't like him as an actor.
Oh yeah, it got bad reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, 64%.
Well, I mean, the original was such garbage. I mean, no, the original seemed like it was going somewhere, and then it seemed like they just gave up and said, "Oh, let's just make 3 ghosts."
This was
What? End of the movie. Keaton's dead. Done. Okay. Such a slap in the face to everybody who just wasted the last hour and a half of their life.
See, that's your fault. This was during a time where you weren't really supposed to pay attention to what Keaton was doing, so that's your fault. So I'm just saying, come on.
Jack
This movie
Frost,
came out in exactly. This movie came out in 2005.
not
Who
the
was
horror
paying
film.
Who was paying attention to Michael Keaton in 2005?
I worked at Blockbuster, so I was
Congratulations.
in 2005.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yes, White Noise and Alone in the Dark and one other were the 3 that I wouldn't rent out. I refused. I had people ask to speak to the manager. People like, "Can I speak to a manager?" I'm like, "I am the manager."
I would talk Alone in the Dark one night.
Yeah, you'd be alone in the dark by yourself
That movie-
talking about it.
Come on, Christian Slater, Tara Reid. You can't go wrong with that. Come on.
You can, and you did.
You know what movie?
So,
You know what movie we should do? The next time we do a bad movie, you want to do a bad movie, a bad horror movie that's just hilarious and ridiculous, and we would have a blast doing
Leprechaun.
it. Well, ooh.
Any of the Leprechaun in space, Leprechaun 4 in space.
We should do House of Wax. That's what we should
Oh,
do.
no. No.
With Justin Timberlake and Paris Hilton.
Yes.
No.
Wasn't the bad guy like Ozzy Osbourne or something?
I don't remember, but all I remember is how bad that movie was. But it was so stupid and ridiculous. House of Wax.
Was that 2004?
That was 05.
05, yeah, okay. I was gonna say around the same time. I remember it being in a big section at Blockbuster.
Because it was Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton. And
Yes.
she lasted the whole 24 hours. But
Anyway,
Yeah.
you guys are.
I'm spent.
So
You're
as
spent.
we just started, I'm going to let everyone know if you're looking for us more on social media, we are on Facebook at Black and White Reviews, and we're also on YouTube and Instagram.
The tubes and the grams.
Yes,
The tubes and the grams.
Black and White Reviews 1866.
Yes, 1866.
And if you want to hear either one of these movies in longer detail, I am going to link to our original podcast down in the description.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Will it exist?
Oh, they exist. They exist.
Okay.
They're not good, but they exist. They're out there when it's just you and I who didn't have a clue what we were doing. But
you're talking the original.
Yeah, the original. This is going back a few years when you and I did these movies. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'll dust those off. Just for fun.
We'll have to put another disclaimer up there. We apologize. The quality of the audio is not up to our standards of today.
Nowhere near it.
When we did that a few years ago in that podcast where I didn't hit record for the first 8 minutes.
Oh no,
I
guys!
still have the files here.
Oh no, guys! I forgot to hit the record button.
And then Will's like, no worries at all. I'll take care of this. And then it comes out and you hear,
hello, my name is Chuck. Oh, I have a file on my computer here that says Lee because Chuck messed up. That's what this is.
That was fantastic.
Oh boy,
that was beautiful.
That took me so long to make because I had to keep going back and cranking the audio up to hear you through somebody else's headphones so I could figure out what you said, and then I just filled in the blank. That was wild.
What else we have here? I've got Catch Lee if you can.
Oh yeah.
I think our first
didn't make it.
Our first YouTube video was one of my favorite times when we were talking Matrix, and Will was going on about how it's a love story, and I just had a 8-minute laughing fit. Will,
because I woke up in the middle of it and was just another thing.
Will sends us this recording. He's like, Chuck didn't stop laughing for 5 to 7 minutes. It was fantastic.
I loved it. I
All
love
because
that.
it's a love story, and I don't understand it because it's. When you're watching The Matrix, that's not your first thought.
No.
Well, according to the two of you, that was your first thought because I was like, "This is a love. This is supposed to be a love." And the two of you were like, "It is a love story." That was the whole point. That was the whole argument. Was the two of you were like, "It is a love story," and I'm like, "No."
Well, it is now.
You
Stop
can't die because I love you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. My mistake.
Sorry about that.
In the first movie, Neo couldn't die because Trinity loved him. In the second movie, Trinity couldn't die because Neo loved her.
I wish. You know what? I wish. I wish our Looper argument was on video, because No, it was before we started recording video, and Chuck and I spent an hour fighting about the time travel in that movie.
Yeah.
And
I'm so
it
glad.
was so bad because I feel so bad looking back on it because it was like Lee was just getting really pissed and wanted to move on, but
I just wanted to go to bed.
Well, I think the funny thing is now is 2 or 3 times we've both tested each other to see
yes.
if they like something that is similar to it, and we've both passed the test. We still don't like it in other content. It's fantastic. So you're
Hey.
telling me that if there's no reason to why they time travel,
Oh my
right.
god.
It's time for bed.
Okay,
it is.
you're
I'm
done.
good for that.
I'm done.
All right,
Okay,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks for tuning in and have a great one.
Catch you on the flippity. Hey everybody, Lee from Black and White Reviews here. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you for tuning in, checking out our conversation. If you like this discussion and you want to hear more about this specific subject or other things, check us out on our podcasting sites, whether it's Spotify, Apple Music, or Google Podcasts. We're up on pretty much all of them. So yeah, thanks again for popping by, and yeah, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.